Hi, I'm Jeff Selby with a closer look at race in advertising. When you look at the early history of American advertising, it's pretty horrifying when it comes to race. But we've come a long way since then, haven't we? Well, unfortunately, no. We are still being bombarded by racist advertising every day. But we'll get back to that in a minute. Let's assume that some of the racism we see in advertising is unintended. When confronted by the accusation that an ad is racist, we often hear, "But that wasn't our intent. We're not racist." But remember, racial equity doesn't care about your intent. It's about outcomes. Just because you didn't intend to make something racist doesn't mean it's not. Let's take a look at what might be a driving factor in some racist outcomes. Bias, specifically implicit bias or unconscious bias. Our brains process 11 million bits of information every second, but only about 40 bits are processed consciously. The unconscious mind makes associations among things. And because our brains process so much information, they've evolved to look for shortcuts. We might automatically associate dark things with bad and light things with good without even thinking about it. Here's a quick exercise. Close your eyes and picture an army general or a firefighter. Got it? Now, open your eyes. Did your mental images look like these? Why or why not? Our implicit bias could affect our actions and lead to assumptions about people who don't look like us. And if some things don't impact us personally, we may not think about those things right away. So how do we stay out of trouble? By acknowledging that we have implicit bias and figure out strategies to combat those biases. Question your assumptions and move through the world with curiosity. A good way to move forward is to check yourself with an equity lens. An equity lens can be a simple list of questions you ask yourself before any process. If you're in the business of creating advertisements, try this one. How is my implicit bias impacting this campaign? Does this campaign include stereotypical imagery or messaging? How might this campaign impact underrepresented people? Now let's use that racial equity lens to assess some ads. Adidas has given us a few examples of horribly racist outcomes over the years. I'm not sure how one could not see that these shoes are horribly racist. Speaking of Adidas, here's an ad they ran featuring a member of the Colombian national soccer team. That's Colombia, the country, not Columbia, the river. Speaking of countries, why is Verizon advertising their coverage in Spain with folks dressed like this? Maybe that's why that guy started doing Sprint ads. Now, this ad from Kentucky Fried Chicken leaves me with quite a few questions. You have all these folks enjoying chicken, and then...
Right! Grilled! Here's the chicken!
Kentucky Grilled Chicken.
You have these clownish characters in Japanese-ish costumes. No one else is wearing cultural garb. What purpose do these guys have in the ad? Dove has had a recent series of ads showing the benefits of their products in a before and after setting. The headline reads, "Visibly more beautiful skin." The problem, of course, is that black women are always the ones in the before area, the bad skin, compared to the after area or clean skin with white women. And while we're at it, let's talk about packaging and store shelves. What about these examples? Notice the difference between the two packages? And looking at these men's hair color products, which one has the anti-theft device attached to it? There are so many other examples. Ashton Kutcher selling snack food in brownface.
I'm Raj, I'm a Bollywood producer, I'm looking for the most delicious thing on the planet.
Nivea's white purity campaign. Or their view that black men with afros are uncivilized. There's Sony PlayStation. And Kellogg's Corn Pops. Look at the yellow Corn Pops having a great time. For some reason, you have Ninja Corn Pops, which is kind of racist and makes no sense. But then we get to the janitor Corn Pop, who's buffing the floor. He's the one dark corn pop in the whole scene. The janitor. Pepsi came under fire when they released this commercial featuring Kendall Jenner at a fictitious street protest. She breaks through the crowd, mostly people of color, approaches a police officer, and gives him a Pepsi. And then everything's fine. But in real life, people are dying. Activists of color and peaceful protesters are being harmed. And a white woman's savior with a Pepsi is not the answer we're looking for. Now, remember that equity lens? Take a look at this ad and test it out.
I'm Jerry Bell II.
And Gabriel third.
I'm like a big bear, and he's my little cub. This little guy is non-stop. He's always want to hang out with his friend. Gotta be prepared to sit at the edge of your seat and be ready to get up. There's no deep couch sitting. It's definitely not good for my back. This is the part I really don't like right here. What's that?
Package.
It's a Swiffer wet jet. It almost feels like it's moving itself. This is kind of fun. That comes from my floor? Ugh. This is deep couch sitting.
Deep Cow City.
What do you think? Yep. It's an ad that's free of negative stereotypes, tokenism, and racist memes. Hats off to Swiffer. I have one more example I'd like to share. This type of stuff isn't just limited to advertising. It's everywhere, even in your local newspaper. A few years ago, Willamette Week ran a story about parents feuding over which schools would have a Spanish language immersion program. And this is the graphic that the newspaper created for the story. This certainly doesn't pass the racial equity lens test. As you can see, we're inundated by racism in the media and in everyday life. And no matter the intention, the outcomes have real harmful effects. When ad agencies, corporations, and newsrooms hire and promote more diverse talent behind the scenes as well as on the page and screen, maybe then we'll be able to make more meaningful racial equity gains in advertising and the media.